From aged railways rumored to be roamed by a range of restless spirits, to treacherous mountain paths inhabited by the ghosts of those who called them homes in lives long past, are you ready to explore our third list of some of the most haunted hikes in the United States? Number 5. Metacomet Trail. Metacomet Trail, traversing the Metacomet Ridge in central Connecticut, is a 62.7-mile blue-blazed hiking trail acting as a portion of the more recently designated New England National Scenic Trail that's recognized for running past a number of significant landmarks. Historically, the 1,800-acre Hubbard Park was given to the people of Meridian and was dedicated on October 29th of 1900, and later the same year, the Castle Craig stone tower was constructed on East Peak. In 1901, Hillstead was constructed on 250 acres of Farmington Mountain. In 1914, the 165-foot-tall Hublin Tower was erected atop Talcott Mountain, and in 1928, the Connecticut Forest and Park Association, headed by Edgar Lang Heermans, would establish the 23-mile Quinnipiac Trail over Metacomet Ridge, which would be closely followed by the establishment of Metacomet Trail, which would pass through public land, state parks, town parks, and municipal watersheds. In 2009, the Metacomet Trail, along with the Mattabesset and Metacomet Monadnock Trails, were merged together to form the New England National Scenic Trail. The whole of this aged path plays home to a chilling ghost story, telling of a large spectral dog that roams its length. This legend goes on to dictate that those who see this creepy canine once will be blessed with good fortune, those who see it twice should take warning, and that those that see it 3 times will surely die soon after. Disturbingly, several deaths spanning back to the 1800s have been attributed to this dark thing, with some of the first written accounts dating back to an article that was actually published in the Connecticut Quarterly in 1898. This article followed 2 geologists doing research locally, one of which who'd spotted the dog once on a previous trip, and another who'd encountered it twice. During their research, the mongrel made an appearance on a nearby hillside, after which the geologist who'd seen the dog twice prior slipped and fell to his death. Years later, the surviving geologist would return to the area, would spot the dog for a 3rd time, and would suffer an eerily similar fate. Also reported along the Metacomet Trail are encounters with a host of ghostly manifestations, some suspected results of those claimed by our furry friend, and others that appear solid and living before fading into nothingness. Number 4. The AMC Greenleaf Hut. The AMC Greenleaf Hut, located just below the summit of Mount Lafayette in New Hampshire, is a mountain cabin acting as one of 8 backcountry huts managed by the Appalachian Mountain Club within the White Mountains National Forest, and that's reachable by both the Greenleaf Trail as well as by the more commonly used Old Bridle Path. Historically, the club was first formed in 1876 and in 1888 would set to work on construction of the high huts of the White Mountains. The Greenleaf Hut was completed much later in 1930 and was constructed with running water and indoor toilets, signifying a huge advancement from the simple shelters the AMC had previously implemented. A bulk of the funding for the construction of Greenleaf, which featured a central dining and kitchen space flanked by 2 bunk rooms, was supplied by Colonel Charles Greenleaf, after whom the stop takes its name. To reach the AMC Greenleaf Hut, one can travel 2.9 miles up the side of Mount Lafayette and back via the Old Bridle Path that acts as part of an 8.9-mile loop on the Franconia Ridge Loop Trail, which is, in turn, a segment on the much larger Appalachian Trail. In the present, the hut offers overnight reservations, provides snacks and freshly baked goods to hikers, and, as legend has it, harbors a number of restless spirits. One story tells of Ben Campbell, who worked as a crew member with the AMC, and who maintained the huts for future adventurers. Sadly, Ben passed away amidst a hike in Scotland, after which his family, in knowing how much he dedicated to his career, would bring his boots back to the Greenleaf Hut to honor his memory. Shortly after their retrieval, campers and fellow crew members who stopped at the shelter would begin reporting the sounds of boot steps in the middle of the night, or incidents in which the boots were found in all manner of places, even miles away from the hut along the trail. Eventually, the old footwear was nailed to the wall of another hut to prevent it from moving around, but many maintain that old Ben's spirit is still up at Greenleaf, at the place he so cherished in life. To date, and on a number of occasions, those passing through have described extreme cold spots, strange forms in the backgrounds of photography, and disembodied bootsteps in the middle of the night. Number 3. Mount Rubidoux Park. Mount Rubidoux, located just west of downtown Riverside, California, is a popular elevation designated as both a city park and landmark that's recognized for a number of facets, including its hosting of the oldest outdoor non-denominational Easter service in the United States, for its featuring of around 3.5 miles of paved and dirt trails, and also for its accommodation of the city's premier fireworks display each and every 4th of July. In recorded history, the mountain was initially part of a 40,569-acre Mexican land grant containing Rancho Jurupa, which was given to Juan Bandini in 1838, and in 1841, following the marriage of one Abel Stearns to Bandini's daughter Arcadia, eventually a large portion of said property was passed on to the new family. In 1843, Bandini would sell around 6,750 acres of what remained to Benjamin Wilson, who would in turn sell to Isaac Williams and James Johnson just a year later, and in 1849, the plot would be sold once again to Louis Rubidoux, after which it would be officialized as Rubidoux Ranch. In 1906, Frank Miller, Henry E. Huntington, and Charles M. Loring would form the Huntington Park Association and would purchase the expanse on which to construct a road to its summit and a mountain park around it. Their route was completed by 1907, with the Cross and Tablet Memorial following closely after, and in 1955, the whole of the property was donated to the city by Miller heirs. The park remains open to the public to this day, featuring a range of trails and opportunities for nature enthusiasts, alongside, as some claim it, a mountain of otherworldly activity, with those frequenting its bounds describing disembodied voices and sinister cackles, extreme temperature fluctuations, the constant feeling of being watched, and incidents in which rocks of various sizes are hurled dangerously close to hikers and campers. From stories of Prohibition-era tunnels through the mountain to the Mission Inn, to fables surrounding small demonic figures that have attacked hikers, to purported encounters with Jesus Christ himself atop the mountain, tales surrounding Rubidoux seemingly know no bounds. Lastly, many have told of encounters with a range of apparitions, including one tall robed figure that's usually spied near the peak, as well as of strange rock piles that appear around tents overnight, or even directly behind hikers when no one else is around. Number 2. Silver Comet Trail. Silver Comet Trail, beginning in Smyrna, Georgia and running west to the Alabama state line, is a 61.5-mile paved pathway tracing the former route of the Silver Comet passenger train, before continuing on as Alabama's Chief Ladiga Trail, which cumulatively forms the second largest paved trail in the entirety of the United States. Historically, the Silver Comet line was first introduced in 1947 by the Seaboard Air Line Railroad amidst a boom in passenger rail travel, but in 1969, due to a rapidly declining customer base, it was discontinued. By 1986, Seaboard Coastline, acting as successor to the Seaboard Airline Railroad, would merge with a jumble of local lines to form the Seaboard system, and subsequently would become CSX Transportation. In 1989, CSX would abandon 36 miles of the Silver Comet route in Cobb, Paulding, and Polk counties, and in 1992, the former line bed would be purchased by the Georgia Department of Transportation, who planned to repurpose it as a high-speed road, until Director of Cobb County Parks Ron Griffith stepped in and requested it be utilized as a multi-use trail instead. Construction of this new trail was started in July of 1998, with its initial segment completed by November of the same year, and in 2019, plans to connect the Silver Comet to the Atlanta Beltline were launched, with an estimated completion date spec'd somewhere in 2022. Through its lengthy history, the Silver Comet Trail has carried with it a past filled with violence, crime, and murder, and local legends tell its turbulent upbringing has resulted in a dark stain upon the area, with those frequenting it reporting orbs and strange mists that flit about, half-formed silhouettes in the backgrounds of photography, and encounters with both shadowy figures and full-bodied apparitions in clothing spanning the eras, some that have even been known to stalk the living at great lengths. Several hikers have told of an eerie, hair-raising vibe across the length of the old path, while others of the sensation of not being able to breathe, as if their lungs just spontaneously stopped working. And near a small graveyard rumored to hold the remains of a witch, passers-by have described odd electrical malfunctions and the constant feeling of being watched or unwelcomed. Lastly, held right along the Silver Comet are the remains of the Concord Woolen Mills factory, which was utilized to produce Confederate uniforms through the Civil War. During the war, the factory was razed to the ground by Sherman's troops, but was eventually reconstructed and would continue production of other goods until 1916, after which it would fall into the ruin visible today. Those nearing the old mill site have told of disembodied voices and shouting, of strange lights sighted from within, and of the sounds of phantom machinery emanating through the long dormant site. Number 1. The historic Arkansas Riverwalk of Pueblo. The historic Arkansas Riverwalk of Pueblo, based out of Pueblo, Colorado, is a 1.3-mile trail loop skirting the Arkansas River that was initially constructed in effort of attracting more tourist activity and, incidentally, increased trade to the city. Historically, Pueblo was founded near the confluence of the Arkansas River and Fountain Creek, and was later incorporated in 1885. On June 3rd of 1921, Arkansas River waters rose dangerously high, overflowing levees within hours and flooding the business district, during which time residents were forced to climb to higher grounds for their lives, with water 14 feet deep in some places, surging beneath their feet. Additionally, lightning storms would ignite local lumber yards, producing a horrifying scene in which burning lumber bundles were sent along with the flood current, setting everything they touched on fire. Survivors of the fateful night report that possibly the most chilling part of the whole ordeal was the resulting commotion, buildings crashing down, and friends and family calling for help. When all was said and done, much of the community was left in ruin, with corpses scattered across the locale, and resting water as well as mud puddles that were dangerously deep. In total, it's estimated that around 500 people lost their lives through the flood, and the body count was so high the morgue was quickly filled to capacity, with corpses literally lined up along Main Street, where they could be identified by family. Preceding the flood, the community was rallied for cleanup and burial efforts, while work was started on a range of precautionary measures that included diverting the river's course from the city. From 1970 to 1975, the Pueblo Dam was constructed to better control water levels, and through the mid-1980s, planning was started to reroute a historic river path through downtown Pueblo. Work on this river park would begin in 1990, with the expanse being open to the public in the year 2000. The historic Arkansas Riverwalk of Pueblo has long been surrounded in claims of paranormal activity, with those braving its expanse, especially after dark, reporting orbs captured in photography, abnormal battery death rates, disembodied screams of panic, and the phantom sensation of not being able to breathe. A number of witness accounts tell of encounters with a range of apparitions, suspected victims of the flood, some appearing bluish in color and soaking wet, and others that are mistaken for the living, and that have even held full conversations with passers-by before vanishing in the blink of an eye. Lastly, the waterfront is rumored to be wandered by La Llorona, or the ghost of a weeping woman whose restless soul is stuck mourning the loss of her children, whom it said she drowned long ago. Encounters with La Llorona aren't a new occurrence, and have been reported along the whole of the Arkansas River for generations past. Taking its fascinating history into account and coupling it with an impressive assortment of purported paranormal infestations and local legends, we felt the historic Arkansas Riverwalk of Pueblo was the perfect choice as this list's most haunted hike in the US. Thanks for joining us for our third list of some of the most haunted hikes in the United States. If you enjoyed our histories and ghost stories, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn notifications on. Throw us a like, and most importantly, share us with anyone you feel deserves a good scare. We'll catch you next time.